Welcome everyone to a little bit of light awaiting Moshiach. We have been discussing the words of the Chavetz Chaim. The Chavetz Chaim tells us that every day we have to hope for the coming of Moshiach. Not only do we hope for Hashem's salvation, the ultimate salvation with the coming of Moshiach, but that we should hope for the salvation of Hashem in any challenge that we meet in life. And the more that we're permeated with the hope for Hashem's salvation, the greater that will create the merit to experience the ultimate salvation. And this is an aspect of our Emunah, our belief in Hashem and His running of the world, that He will bring Moshiach, and we hope for that to come soon. The Chavetz Chaim now addresses another aspect of our Emunah, our belief and faith in Hashem in the times of Galus and times of exile. He now cites another aspect of it, a very interesting aspect. We've been discussing the aspect of the faith that we have in Hashem in exile, that He will take us out of exile. And now he's going to talk about another aspect of faith that we have in Hashem while we're in exile and the effects that it'll have. Another thing a person needs to know, She'ikar tova hashalema asida b'meha geula, that the goodness that we will experience in the future, in the days of redemption, each person will attain it. It will depend on the belief and faith and strengthening in faith that a person went through, that a person experienced, that faith and strengthening in faith in Hashem that a person has at the time, a person had in the time of exile amongst the nations of the world, that level, the level of how much Emunah, faith in Hashem we had in the times of Galus, will make a difference in the experience of the goodness of the time of redemption. Now, what this implies is that we talk about Moshiach in a very universal way, in the sense of that we wait to come to Moshiach, where the world will come in line with Hashem's will, and the world will be saved, the world will be perfected. When that time comes, it's going to be a time of great blessing and great goodness that we'll be able to experience. But the Chavetz Chaim is telling us that the experience of the goodness of that time period that we await for will depend. Each one of us is going to experience it differently. And a primary factor in how we experience that good, that future good, will depend on the Emunah, on the faith that we have in Hashem now in the times of Galus, the times of exile. And he continues, She'im rafa yadai, if a person's faith in Hashem was weak in the times of Galus, during the dark times of the exile, that will cause a diminishment in a person's table and the goodness he'll experience in the future. The Emunah we're talking about now is an Emunah, a faith in Hashem during the challenging times of exile. If a person's Emunah in that time, his faith during that time is weak, that'll make a difference in his experiencing of the good of the future times of Mashiach. Now, what is exactly that faith that he's talking about? We'll get there soon. Then he cites a saying from our sages to show this point. And as our sages have commented on the verse, who will diminish on the day of smallness? That's just a literal translation of the words. And our sages explain those words to mean that one of the messages of those words is Migarm tzadikim, what will cause the righteous that their table will be diminished in the future. That means their reward will be diminished. The smallness, the weak faith that was in them. They did not have their faith and trust in me. So the Medrash is telling us that there are tzaddikim, righteous people, that their table will be diminished because their faith was weak. They're righteous, My understanding is because they've lived righteous lives. However, in the darkness of Gullus, there were times where their faith was weak. Their faith in Hashem, belief in Hashem was weak. And when that happens, that diminishes their table, diminishes their reward. Abel, however, and this is where he gets to the point of what Emunah we're talking about. But if his faith in Hashem was whole, v'spoining tamid, and he constantly contemplated regarding anything that happened to him, that without question Hashem does this for his good. That will call his level to be raised extremely high in the future. His table will be complete, filled with all good. So the Emunah we're talking about here is that whatever a person experiences because of Gullus, and it's not just the person, it means every person, it means the Jewish people as a whole, that if we hold on to our Emunah, our faith, during the dark times of Gullus, the faith being that whatever Hashem has brought upon us is for our good. That's not easy to do. There's been very, very dark times. We're still in the middle of one of those very dark times called October 7th. If a person holds on to their faith in Hashem, that they understand or that they believe and they work on that belief and they constantly contemplate that whatever has happened is for our good. We may not understand it, we may not be able to explain it. It doesn't mean that it won't hurt. It doesn't mean that we're not going to cry. But we hold on to our faith, that whatever Hashem does is for our good. And we had that faith even in the darkness of exile. Even when exile has caused us so much pain, we still hold on to that Emunah, that belief and faith in Hashem, that he runs everything and he's doing it all for our good. If that's what a person holds on to, that will raise his level so that when the time comes to experience the good of Moshiach, he'll be able to experience it fully. So we have a faith that we have to have, a belief and faith that we have in Hashem, that he will save us from the darkness of Gullus. And that makes a difference in being a merit to bring that salvation sooner. And then there is the Emunah, the faith during Gullus, that says that when things are very dark and very difficult and very painful, we still hold on to that faith and constantly think about it, says the Chavetz Chaim. And we constantly think about and strengthen ourselves that whatever Hashem has brought upon us is for our good. That is what makes the experience of when Mashiach comes, that'll make a difference in that level of experience for each and every person. So we've got the faith in Hashem in Gullus that he'll save us, and we have the faith that everything that comes upon us is for our ultimate good. And we hope that that the two faiths will bring Mashiach quickly, so that Mashiach will come, all our questions will be answered, we'll be given to the understanding of how everything was for our good. That'll be part of the goodness that we're going to experience. And our hopes are that all this should come together very soon. B'meher v'yameinu. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos.